In this video, we're doing funk conga patterns for 3 drums. Coming up. Hi, my name is Kevin Zahner, and if this is your first time on Rhythm Notes, please subscribe so we can help you level up your drumming today. I decided to do a video about conga funk rhythms on 3 drums after a few comments from some of the viewers. The first comment was from Moss3, B-Boy50, hope I said that right. Super dope, I need more of this funk and R&B tutorials for congas, they're hard to find, love it. So the other comment was more about doing videos with 3 drums. So I decided to put it together and talk about conga funk rhythms for 3 drums. But before we get into the funk rhythms, let's talk about a couple of issues just around playing multiple conga drums and some more issues around just playing R&B funk patterns in general. So for playing multiple conga drums, it's about moving around the drums. And actually, I have a video that I'll put up here in the cards and a link down in the description that helps you with exercises for moving around 3 drums. Now, as far as playing R&B and funk patterns on congas, you want to make sure that you're playing with the drum set player, and that means playing with it locked up, but also maybe playing off the drum set player and kind of filling in the right spaces at the right time. That also matters in terms of where you're playing in relation to the keyboard parts, the guitar parts, the bass, the vocals, the lead lines, all the other instruments that are happening in the group. So, but it's very, very key that you lock with the drums, almost to the degree that like the non-trained listener or the average consumer might just listen to it and not even know which drums are playing what. That the trained ear would know, but it's very hard to discern what's a conga, what's a kick drum or tom, and at that point it just becomes one groove. The second thing I want to mention about playing R&B and funk conga patterns is that these conga patterns can complement the bass line. So listen to the bass line and figure out a way to either follow it or work with it, kind of like I mentioned with the drum set. So it's the same sort of thing, but you want to definitely make sure that you're working with the bass line, whether melodically or rhythmically. The third thing I want to mention is less is more. Don't underestimate the power of a few well-placed tones and slaps to take your groove to the next level. So the fourth thing I want to mention is that sometimes the open tones and slaps are more important than the quieter tones like heel, toe, touch, things like that. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes all of the sounds are equally important to the feel of the groove, the texture, the thickness, whatever it is. So make sure you know for each song where you are on that. Sometimes you want more tones and slaps to speak out, and sometimes you want the thickness of the groove to really be an important part of what you're doing. You'll see in the few examples that I'm going to share with you right now that the touches are sometimes louder than others. Now, that's mostly because I'm using them to keep time, but I'm also using them to kind of keep my hands straight in terms of which drum I'm playing on. They help my transitions and those coordinations, as well as just kind of add a thickness to the song. Sometimes I'll add a stronger touch, which is actually more of like a mute sound, a mute tone, and that's gonna speak a little bit more in the groove, and you'll notice it. It's subtle at times, but it's something to maybe take a look at and consider. It's not a deal breaker in terms of playing a good funk pattern, but it's something that's there, and try some of the suggestions that I give you in the notation as well as in these demonstrations. So I'm going to give you 3 different examples here. The first one really focuses on capitalizing on the 8th note and 16th note upbeats, the syncopations. The second one adds a little bit more of a downbeat oriented conversation on the drums with the open tones. And then the third one is a little bit of a folkloric adaptation of Wawanko. It's something that just kind of came up as I heard the song and laid down a pattern. So this first example actually has two different patterns, and both of these patterns kind of accent the upbeats of the eighths and the sixteenths of the rhythm, and it's really kind of filling in those syncopated spaces. If you're getting value out of this video, please hit that like button and please share it with someone who you think might also get value out of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now example 2 has more of a downbeat pattern in terms of the tones, and I did this because it just fit with the groove and it fit with the bass line, and I wanted to do something a little different than the last song, and this particular example kind of had that more downbeat feeling. And notice that there's not a lot of tones, there's not a lot happening, but it's impactful, and that's what I was talking about earlier, where just a few well-placed tones can mean all the difference in the world. You don't have to fill everything up with all kinds of rhythm. It can get very muddy and kind of like gross in that way sometimes. You want to definitely be a melodic piece in the rhythm section that can add a foundation to the song that without it, it wouldn't be the same song. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this song also has two variations. In the second variation, I kind of start to open up with some improv. Notice that the first part of the groove, no matter if it's the first or second variation, has a little bit more of the downbeat feel, and the second part has more of the upbeat feel. So in that upbeat section, that's where I kind of put a little bit more improv, and in the second variation, you'll see I open it up quite a bit more. So I'm not going to really give you notation for that second variation, but check it out. It's really just the first part, but I kind of open up a little bit more improvisation in certain areas. 1, 2, 3, 4. third example is like a funk wah-wah-ko, and I didn't go into this song thinking I want to play a wah-wah-ko. I want to play a funky wah-wah-ko. That would be cool. You know, sometimes that is the thought going into a session or a song or a track or whatever you're doing, but in this case I just heard it and started playing and really started hearing myself playing kind of a wah-wah-ko rhythm, so I went with it. And then I started to separate the parts and think about certain parts or variations on those parts that maybe the segundo would play or the quinto would play, and then kind of put it together and funked it up a little bit, and then tried to replicate something that wasn't too all over the place. I didn't want it to be so cluttered for this song, but I wanted it to have certain variations and improvisations that still felt like they were a part of the song, but could kind of stretch the legs a little bit, so to speak, and move around. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you like this video and you want to watch more, check out this one suggested to you by YouTube and check out this one suggested to you by Rhythm Notes. Please subscribe so we can help you level up your drumming today, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.